Ever wonder what it would look like if David Cronenberg made Videodrome for like 25 bucks? Well, wonder no more. Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're tackling JR Bookwalter's low-budget splatter flick, Ozone. Released in 1995, Ozone has just received an official Blu-ray release. Like all of Bookwalter's films, it makes up for its lack of budget with an infectious exuberance that makes you forgive the flaws. It cribs mercilessly from other films, but for a movie that was almost assuredly made for less than you'd pay for a decent house, it's quite entertaining. But is it splattery enough to earn a 5 barf bag rating? Let's get to the gore and find out. We fade in on these credits. A JR Bookwalter movie. Well, I admire the fact that he's not going to try to call it a film, I guess. Starring James Black. I love that guy in Nacho Libre. Oh, wait. Wrong dude. And Tom Hoover, who gave up his claim to the vacuum cleaner empire to chase his dreams of starring in low-budget shot-on-video gore flicks. Maybe not the best career move. Anyway, the cleanest junkie ever is trying to get the hookup from this poor man's version of the guy whose face melts off in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
This stuff will blow your mind.
Honestly, that seems sort of fitting. Anyway, the junkie takes this new mind-blowing drug back to his surprisingly clean trap house and gets ready to chase the dragon. Only I think something's gone wrong here. I will say this, dude's got great veins for a junkie. Turns out the dealer wasn't lying when he said this stuff was mind-blowing. Too bad it takes the rest of your head, too. We then jump over to these two cops on stakeout. Man, I remember Riggs and Murtaugh looking a lot different in Lethal Weapon. Anyway, while we're here and nothing's happening, this seems like a great time for some exposition.
We're gonna find Richter this time. I could feel it. Besides, he's our only link to finding out what the hell happened to our man DeBartolo.
The guy they're looking for does show up, with a buddy.
What the hell is he doing here?
Probably making sure his plants have enough water. He has a bit of a green thumb. Turns out it's just a pharmaceutical company board meeting about getting FDA approval for their new product. Man, I wonder what the hat budget was on this movie. Squeaky here is looking for a fix.
I brought you what you wanted.
Well, yeah, but I already have this sweet hat. Why would I need 2 sweet hats? But I'll float you this time. Riggs and Murtaugh bust this drug deal with extreme prejudice. Richter's dying words were, "Bury me with my hat." While Mike is chasing Squeaky, Boone makes sure Richter is down. Man, the blood on that shirt sure dried fast. And surprise, Richter's not dead. Thank God you're here. We needed more test subjects for our clinical trials. And he even gets a catchy line before he dies.
Have a nice trip, asshole!
Hey man, I'll be spouting off all the stupid jokes in this video. Back in our other movie, Mike has apparently chased Squeaky into the dance academy from Suspiria, judging by this lighting. Then they play a little cat and mouse. Squeaky, come out, I've got some sweet, sweet drugs for you. After some more skulking about, Mike finds these weird mutants.
Hold it! Back off!
While he's focused on them, this dude gives him a little jump scare. Kinda looks like Prince Valiant with a bad case of psoriasis. I guess Ozone doesn't treat that. He blasts this dude, but he fails to spot the guy coming up behind him. Officer, I'm gonna need you to lend me a hand. Oh look, it's a Thing cameo. I love the Addams Family. Mike isn't thrilled. How will I ever learn to wipe Lefty? Guess I'm gonna need a bidet now. Lefty barricades himself in this room, but the styrofoam door isn't holding these guys back. Back at the crime scene, the chief from every cop movie in existence has shown up.
I want you down to the station now.
Now get out of my office, Boone. Wait, we're outside. Down at Police HQ, Boone's hard at work smoking. Wait, is this a police station or a high school? What's with those lockers? Eddie gets called into the principal's office, the chief's office, for some cliched cop talk.
I think you need to take some time off.
What? You can't be serious.
Listen, Eddie, I know we don't get along, I'm not particularly crazy about your style.
And some exposition.
What about Mike?
He's missing. He hasn't reported in. And the search has come up with nothing.
Eddie winds up suspended, but if you guess that's not going to stop this renegade cop, give yourself a screenwriter's credit. Before he can head out, he stops to freshen up and have some weird hallucinations. Eddie's really going to pieces. Except it was all a dream. You know, nothing says you're a real man's man quite like waking up and grabbing a wine cooler for breakfast. Nice work, Eddie. Were they all sold out of Zima? He then heads out, and I guess he's okay to drive since there's basically no alcohol in a wine cooler anyway. Eddie eventually winds up at this park. I really should be looking for my partner, but it's such a nice day out. Should have packed a picnic and brought some wine coolers. While he's wandering around, he finds this. Damn kids and their graffiti. He also finds his first clue when he spots Mike's badge right out here in the open. Dude's a real Sherlock Holmes. He explores inside and eventually discovers this finger. Maybe it'll point him in the right direction. Then he backs right into this jump scare. These aren't your everyday zombies either. They like to ask the heavy existential questions.
Have you been transformed?
Then it turns into a low-budget homage to the end of Todd Browning's Freaks.
We can smell that you're one of us. One of us.
Things look bleak for Eddie, but he decides this is a good time to drop in on this corpse. Nice Robot Ninja poster there. He flees back to his car. Oh yeah, I was looking for my partner. Forgot about that. Better get back to it. Apparently, he decided there was no need to call his cop pals about the murderous drug addict zombies in the building. Meh, it's fine. Guess all those zombies scared the shit out of him, so he has to make a pit stop. Let me in, man. I gotta go. Turns out this is Mike's place. Seems odd he wouldn't have started here, but what do I know? I'm not a cop. He heads inside and starts investigating. Damn it, would you look at this? Mike's paying way too much for car insurance. With nothing useful there, he's about to head off, but he's stopped by this cop.
Detective Boone, Captain Guest said us to pick you up.
Except that's no cop. That's another zombie dude. He's like, Eddie, you forgot to take your insulin. But Eddie's not down for that, so he starts blasting. And the undead cop falls into the road and promptly gets his head run over. Gooey. Wait, how did this happen in an empty parking lot? They couldn't even afford to shoot it on a residential street? We then jump to this bar, where everyone is apparently super serious about their burgeoning alcoholism. I mean, I've been to wakes that were more boisterous than this. Eddie's like, give me a Virgin Shirley Temple. Wait, better make that a double. After a quick trip to the men's room, Eddie is attacked by the bar's patrons.
Hey, what is this?
Oh wait, he's just doing some crowd surfing. Turns out they really just wanted him to join their Ozone fight club. Alright, first rule of Ozone Fight Club is we don't talk about Ozone Fight Club. My bad. Anyway, this is the best 2 out of 3 false saw blade on a stick match in the steel cage.
Welcome to hell.
Eddie's opponent is this stylishly dressed chap. I wonder where you can buy some black leather jumper overalls like that. If you're wondering what the point of this scene is, don't feel alone. I still don't know. My guess is Bookwalter was like, shit, this movie only runs 70 minutes. How can I pad it to a short feature length 80 minutes? I've got it. Eddie manages to eke out the victory. And it's not nearly as gory as I hoped it would be. At any rate, Eddie's big win makes all the Ozone addicts flip out. This is the weirdest episode of Dr. Pimple Popper to date. With his duty to pad the runtime finished, Eddie dips out through this conveniently placed hole in the wall. But before he can get back to his car, he runs into budget Victoria Jackson. Do you kids even remember Victoria Jackson? Christ, I'm old. They then proceed to have the most awkward conversation in the history of mankind.
You live down here?
Yeah, I do. Here in the basement. Do you live around here?
Oh no, I'm around here on an investigation.
And that awkward conversation leads to some even more awkward, what the hell? After she licks his wound goo, Eddie starts morphing like he's James Woods in Videodrome. Justine, meanwhile, is like, oh man, I ate too much wound goo. So, some of the effects in Ozone look pretty dated, but these masks still look great. And now they're gonna hook up? I don't even want to know what their kids are gonna look like. Eddie wakes up later, alone and covered in goo. I think we've all been there. Back out on the street, he's accosted by these Sam's Choice versions of the Cenobites.
Well. What have we got here?
Honestly, this dude is what you get if you ordered Pinhead on Wish.com.
Fresh meat.
And it's back to the philosophical questions.
What do you want?
An intriguing question. What does any of us want?
Man, I'm starting to think Ozone is a lot like weed. Everyone who gets high on it immediately thinks they're Friedrich Nietzsche. Look, Bookwalter's not even trying to hide that he's ripping off Hellraiser in this scene. And I'm not gonna lie, given how terrible most of the Hellraiser sequels are, I'd watch JR Bookwalter's Hellraiser movie.
Who are you? What do you know? Do you know what's happening to me?
Oh, dude, don't ask these questions. They'll philosophy you to death. And now it's basically like the weirdest therapy session ever.
Are you afraid?
Yes.
What scares you, Eddie?
Tell us about your relationship with your father, Eddie. Since this film didn't have much of a budget, these bargain basement Cenobites don't rip Eddie's soul apart or anything. They just vanish.
You will find much more to be.
And then we head over to the morgue where we find the elusive Mississippi mudflap out in the wild. He makes the rookie mistake of going to investigate a strange noise and gets murdered for his troubles. Then we jump over here. Oh hey, look, it's director JR Bookwalter. And he's murdered by the resurrected corpse of Richter too. Say what you will, but that dude is efficient. 2 kills in like 90 seconds is a good clip. I don't think he can keep killing at that pace, though. So, what's the first thing Richter does now that he's back from the dead? Duh, he gets his hat. And he stops by to see Blabber the Hutt for some more exposition.
And I want Eddie Boone brought to me alive.
If you're wondering who this thing is, don't worry, so am I. Anyway, back in our May movie, Eddie runs into Justine again, and she's as weird as ever.
It will be like nothing you've ever felt.
He does manage to find Squeaky at least, and yeah, he's still in this movie. While they're sharing a touching moment, these goons come busting in and blow Squeaky away. Farewell, Squeaky. I feel like we hardly knew you because you were barely in this movie. Eddie makes a break for it, and then it all turns into a Chariots of Fire homage as they chase him down the street for what feels like 6 hours. They do eventually catch him and drag him back to Jabba's desert palace. Or this apartment building. You know how it is. Budget constraints. Here we meet with Jabba. I'm no doctor, but I think this dude has a legit case of gyno going on. And it's time for some more exposition.
When I was in human form, you knew me as Sam DeBartolo.
Oh yeah, remember Sam DeBartolo? If you had to rewind to the beginning of the movie, don't feel bad. We haven't heard his name in like 45 minutes. The movie kinda forgot about him. Anyway, the gist of all this is DeBartolo figured out Ozone makes people something more than human, and he wants Eddie to evolve and help him change the world.
Do you know what's happening to me?
You are the beginning of the new order. Through you, I will change the face of the world.
Because yeah, looking like a giant sweaty man-pig with B-cup boobs sounds like something all of humanity should aspire to. Eddie's like thanks but no thanks and is locked up by what appears to be a young Kid Rock. Then it's hammer time. Free from the cell, he finds Mike, who's looking a little worse for wear. Then he finds Justine.
The birth of our son, Eddie.
Man, I told you their kid was gonna be disgusting. Rather than escape and do something smart, like, get reinforcements, Eddie heads right back to DeBartolo.
You'll have to shoot me.
Then I will.
Soon you'll be one of us.
Hey, where'd he get that gun from? Why didn't he just shoot Kid Rock earlier if he was packing? Things don't go as planned when Richter shows up, but Eddie takes off again and locks himself in the conveniently placed ammo room, which has even more conveniently placed dynamite. I can't believe they didn't give Eddie a cool line here, like, it's time to blow this joint. Talk about missed opportunities. Of course, Richter's not dead. He morphs into this ozone demon. And again, no one-liner. Not even an I'm feeling kinda horny. Come on, JR Bookwalter. Eddie beelines back to DeBartolo, who says he can't be killed, and demonstrates it by slicing open his stomach like this is women's flesh, my red guts. And that's convenient, because now Eddie can stuff the dynamite right in there. And DeBartolo explodes like a piñata stuffed with cherry bombs. And again, no one-liner. Not even a you're about to have a case of acid reflux even Zantac can't cure, or it's Zima time. Also, man, look at those special effects. Although calling them special might be overselling it a bit. And then we jump to Eddie's interrogation. He's being blamed for all of this.
Well, at last count, Eddie, you killed 35 people.
I feel a stinger ending coming. Wait for it.
You'll come around.
Yeah, there it is. While it looks like Ozone had a production budget of about $35, you really have to hand it to JR Bookwalter. Dude managed to get every penny of that money on the screen. And really, for a low-budget effort of this era, Ozone is surprisingly entertaining. The core idea of the film is great and feels like a nod to street trash in some ways. The acting isn't nearly as bad as I'm used to in movies like this, and it's got some decent gore effects. But are they good enough to get Ozone a 5 barf bag rating? Let's go to the gore card. In terms of gross anatomy, Ozone delivers. We've got exploding heads, a chopped off hand, mutant babies, lots of popped pimples, and that cool crushed head. You can tell a lot of effort went into creating Ozone's effects, and while the CGI stuff looks terribly dated, the practical effects work is still really good. Because of that, Ozone gets a 4 barf bag rating. This is definitely a sick flick. Looking for more low-budget splatter? Then check out my review of Headless. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.